Hey everybody, welcome to my vlog. I'm Claire and this is Secret. He is a 7-year-old, maybe 8-year-old this year. Appaloosa saddlebred with a little bit of thoroughbred in there. He's an absolutely wonderful horse. I've been riding him the past 3 years and we've done a little competing. He's a very game little guy. He'll kind of do whatever you want. He'll have a lot of opinions about it. Like he'll show up somewhere he's never been and have feelings about the way it should go. So usually we come to a pretty good agreement. We have a lot of fun. I have to edit and put together the vlog from when we went camping a few weeks ago. That was pretty cool. So that's to come. But last weekend we did a lesson and it became very apparent that we've been out of practice with jumping. So it was suggested that I do some trotting into fences. And so I don't do a ton of jumping. And the ring footing is questionable sometimes, but it had just rained, so it was packed down and it actually wasn't too bad today. So we did some pole work and a lot of focus on getting him to kind of yield off my leg and not drop back behind my leg, which he's very good at doing. He's sneaky because he's very smooth. He's got a really smooth gait to ride, so you don't notice until you don't have a horse in front of you, and he kind of just does what he wants. So we're working on having a nice consistent pace so that when he trots poles, it should feel similar to the way he feels when he's going normally. And then here we're just doing an exercise asking for the canter transition and trying to get him to just kind of just get off my leg. Because a lot of times what happens is I put my inside leg on and he pushes back against it and fights me. So it's kind of a delicate balance without getting too strong with your hands and without pumping with your seat too much, which, I mean, I don't ride all that much, so all my habits, don't judge me too hard. But it's kind of a delicate balance to ride him between being understanding with your hands and your seat and also being really definite that you have to stay up and out in front of me. So this exercise I find helpful because it just gets everything loose and gets the transitions. You ask for a canter transition after you trot the poles. As I'm watching this video, I thought we were coming in straight the whole time, but watching the video, it doesn't necessarily look like we were. But you know. So, yeah, I really like this exercise because it keeps his hind end engaged without me necessarily having to push, because he has to engage it to trot the poles. And so then when we go into the canter transition, his downward transition from canter to trot the poles stays engaged because he's got to trot some poles. So this is just us working on that. This is the first canter transition I asked for, and he was like, nope. But then I thought he did a really good job. And then as we're coming around, he sort of knows the drill. So rather than falling out of the transition, he keeps himself engaged. I'm right-handed and he's not, but I think I've been riding him so long at this point that almost every horse I ride gets a little bit more right-handed because that's what I am. So I think he stays fairly balanced, although here you can see I had to circle him because he just started to press against my leg and lean in. And it's always it's always a bit of a battle to get him to not lean in. And this time I wanted a transition here down to the walk with him kind of sitting back and using his hind end, which I thought he did pretty well. And I wanted to try to get minimal use of my hands, get most of the help from my body. So here we just took a break. And whenever I give him a break, I do try to get a lot of walk work in a frame and engaged, but just for him mentally and because I think it does help loosen him up, I do a lot of free walk between exercises. But today, as I tried to let him get some free walk and some stretch, he sort of just took over and was really obsessed with some guy who was fixing fences out in the fields. So here I'm just circling to get him kind of off my leg and balanced up. Keep him engaged. And then we're including the cavaletti. Whoops. As we come around here, which I thought he did pretty well. And I want him to sit up and stay balanced and take that extra stride if he needs it, because the last time we tried to jump, he just sort of took over and wanted to gallop at everything. So this is just working on getting a good even stride, staying connected. Claire keeping him engaged by a good use of the legs. And here I just wanted to kind of surprise him a little. He jumped when I asked him to. He just switched leads. And then this is the second exercise that you'll notice I set up a vertical off these 3 trot poles. And that was recommended to us in our last lesson, is he's just not using his butt and his shape very well. So this was me working on that. And I usually set up 3 trot poles to a little vertical, and I'll do maybe 1 after the end of almost every ride. Even in the dressage saddle, because that's what we normally ride in. This is a all-purpose Wintec. Doesn't fit perfect, but it works, and it was kind of rainy, so there he landed his left lead, which is what I wanted. And then I had to really push him out of this turn, and he was fighting with me till he realized we were jumping. So I set the other cavaletti, I stacked them and made it a little, like, 2-foot vertical. And they really are only 2, 2, 3. He's just a very small horse. And there he didn't quite get the striding right, kind of died on me. So I think the big focus was keeping him connected, but using a lot of leg, especially through the turn, and having a nice, more open stride and not getting too handsy, just kind of keeping him out in front of me. And this I thought he did really well. And so then he yielded off my leg and kind of went out into the corner, which is exactly what I wanted. So he did a great job, and that was my ride. Thanks for watching.